If you are running ERPNext in production, you've probably experienced this. One day, the system feels fine, then suddenly users are complaining, reports are slow, jobs are stuck somewhere, and no one in the whole organization knows exactly what is happening. ERPNext does not usually break loudly, and this is something I've kept saying recently. It breaks silently. Let me explain to you a few problems, even before I demo to you what is on the screen here today. Let me give you some of the problems that I have experienced in my journey with ERPNext. The first problem that I can mention is a situation where people keep saying the system is slow, but no one knows why. And of course, when you say ERPNext is slow, it's not a diagnosis for anything. You need to tell us, is it CPU? Is it memory? Is it the database that is too big? Is it background jobs that are stuck or that are misbehaving? I mean, most of the time, these questions, no one knows why. People are just guessing, increasing the server size, increasing the memory, and so on and so forth. Things that actually don't bring the real solutions. The second problem is that background jobs fail quietly. All of a sudden, you notice that emails didn't go out, integrations have stopped syncing data, scheduled tasks don't run, and you only discover these problems after something very, very important has broken, because now you can't ignore that there is normally no visibility into queues and workers. So workers may be down or sometimes overwhelmed, but ERPNext doesn't proactively tell you. So you are blind unless you SSH into the server. So you can imagine a situation where you need to keep SSHing into the server to check whether your queues are running properly. Number 4 problem is that databases keeps growing until when it hurts. I have had a number of people calling me to help them sort the database problems, and this is why I'm doing this. So you find someone with a database that is 40 GB. I mean, things have started going slow, invoices are not loading, and so on and so forth. So there are tables like logs, like the stock ledgers, integration tables, the tables that contain the histories of integrations. These tables keep growing like forever, for as long as you're using the system, and they are being called. So this thing makes backups extremely slow, right? And it makes reports feel extremely heavy. And you only notice this when upgrades fail or probably a disk is full. That's when you notice that your database it's too big. Problem number 5. Restarting the system becomes a guesswork. So when you go to restart workers, why are you restarting workers? I mean, when you don't know exactly which workers you want to restart. So you have problems. I mean, which workers do you want to restart? And did even the restart work? How do you show that? And maybe the other question that you need to be able to answer when you are restarting these things is, how are you doing it? Is it making things better or is it making things worse? I mean, these are some of the things that I have found in my journey with ERPNext. And so, the biggest problem with ERPNext in production is not functionality. This is one thing that I really would like everyone to know. The biggest problem is not functionality. It is lack of what I can call in my language operational visibility and control. So you literally do not have operational visibility and you have zero control over that thing. So that is what is going to cause you problems in production. And that is why I built this product that is on the screen here today. And I have given it a simple name, UPEOSight. Alright? And what is this thing? UPEOSight was built for one specific reason, and that is to solve the operational blind spot that we have in ERPNext in production. So there is that operational blind spot that exists there. Alright? So if you see what I'm showing you on the screen here. Oh, this one actually has said that my system is now stressed. You can see this, but I can just switch off a number of things here to get it back to normal. Let me quit that. I quit that. What else can I quit here? I can also quit this one. Is it okay now? Not yet. I think I also need to go here and quit Discord. Alright, I think now after some time that's going to get back to normal. So you can see the reason is because of this CPU. It's going to go back to normal after a bit of time. It's because of course I'm recording a video and so many other things are running. That's why my CPU seems stressed. So in a server, and you can see there it is now healthy because it has gone down back to 18 after I have quit a number of services that were running. So it's amazing that that actually has happened when we were recording the video. So what do we have here? Here we have the CPU. So the system is listening to the CPU. And when you click on this, I have also detailed to you what this thing does. So I'm telling you here that CPU is the server's processing power. High CPU means the server is working very hard. Like now mine was 92%, and that is why the health went to red. So telling me it's not healthy. Alright? So normal one is when it's around here. So this is totally normal. When it starts going to 65 to 85, then here you need to start watching. When it's 85 and above, and that happens for more than 15 minutes, then there is an action required. All right, and I'm giving you all those details there, so you are going to get this when you get the application. Then here we have the RAM. I'm also giving you the RAM. So currently my system is using, and this is my laptop, is using 59% of the RAM. And again, I've given you the details of that. So again, this is not blind. I'm not talking in jargon here or technical language. I've given you this thing in English, all right? So you can easily understand that. Okay. The other thing here is the disk. And what's the disk? Disk, of course, is your internal storage. So currently, I'm using 22% of what is available. And this is, of course, I'm explaining to you what that thing is there. And I've also given you ranges there so that you know when you need to take action. And the fourth thing is the load. Now here it's a bit technical. This is a bit technical, but again I've given slightly more explanation to help you understand. And load is normally calculated as whatever is available multiplied by the number of cores that you have in your server. So for example, if you find that you have 4 cores, I've given an example of 4 cores, 4 CPU cores. Anything below that is considered fine. Find your CPU, so find that normal is what is below. Watch is what looks like it's hovering around 4. So for example, if you have 4 CPUs, and then you need to action if it goes beyond. So for example, if you have 4 CPUs and the load is telling you that it's at 6 or 7 or 8, you certainly need to action. There is a problem there. So with UPEOSight, you do not need now to go and start buying more server space or start increasing the size of your RAM. You know exactly what is the problem. Down here, we have the biggest tables. Again, I mentioned that I have had clients calling me, telling me they want to, delete what, they don't know what to touch, they don't know what to do what. So that's why I added this section. I have showed you the 10 biggest tables, all right? And I have also shown you here the importance of that table so that you do not touch a table that you are not supposed to be touching. But I have also limited that. So for example, you can see in the instance that I'm using to demo today, the biggest tables are the core tables. So I have the table name there. I have the size of that table. The total. Then I have the number of rows inside that table, all right? So you're able to tell if your table is getting into hundreds of thousands of rows. And then here I have the importance of that table. So if you see it's system stroke core, of course you don't want to touch that table easily, unless if you really know what you're doing. But I have also added this action button. So in case the table starts behaving like it's becoming too big, then a button is going to pop up here and you can just clear that table by just clicking on that. Again, if you have the permissions to do that. Then here, I've also added another section for operator actions. And again, this is only for the people who have permissions. So this is not for everyone. And these are restarting the background workers and also restarting the schedulers. And I have done this in a safe way. This is not like something that I've done so that you just click there and it goes to quickly start restarting things. I've done this in a safe way, all right? So I'll be providing a guide on to how you are going to put those restart jobs into the right places in your server, so that when you click on this button, it is going to run and action on that, so that if those workers are dead, or if they are having a problem, they are going to be restarted easily. There is something else. I don't want to move before I show you this. The system will show you also the number of tables that you have. Oh my goodness, my CPU is again stressed. It's at 99%, but I'm about to finish. There is one more thing before I close. Here we have what has happened in the system in the last 15 records that have happened in the system. So for example, if I come here and I click on I want to restart these workers, I have to give a reason. Why do you want to restart the workers? I will say this is an example, all right? And then I'm going to go ahead and confirm. Now, it shows you this. So it has ran, but if you come down here, you see that it has failed, and I will explain to you why. This has been done just now. It's the administrator that did it, and the action was to restart workers, and the target was that, and the result is failed. And the reason, of course, this is the reason they provided. So this is a sample. So what I have done, if you go, yeah, my system is again back, so it's 57%, so it's cool. So if you check, I can go back to UPEOSight and show you here in the UPEOSight log. I have logged this here, so whatever has failed, and I'm giving an example. The reason why it has failed is because I'm on localhost. You can see that. So I have set up that to work in production, not in something like localhost here. So that is why that one has failed. So ladies and gentlemen, what is the other thing that you see here? That is it. So you are going to see everything that's happening there, down here, 1 minute ago. And I think that's pretty much it. So don't have to guess things anymore. You need to see exactly what is happening in real time. So what do we have to say then before we close? What I have to say is that UPEOSight is not like a replacement of ERPNext. It is not trying to be like a DevOps software, but this product exists for one reason. It exists to help ERPNext stay healthy in real production environments. Because I mean, we have all sorts of people outside claiming to be installers of ERPNext, customizers of ERPNext, but is it being done the right way? You need to ask yourself that question. Is that thing going to stand the test of time? Is it going to remain active? Are you going to be using it 1 year after it has been deployed? You need to ask yourself those questions, and some of these things are very, very important. So UPEOSight is going to give you that visibility, so it helps ERPNext stay usable in production. So if you're running ERPNext for a real business with real users and real data, and of course you have real pressure, then UPEOSight is for you. ERPNext is really powerful, but power without visibility creates stress, right? UPEOSight brings clarity, control, and confidence, where ERPNext users need it most.